Hey guys, welcome back. Today I have Dr. Doe as our host, or one of my guests on the show, and we're gonna go over life after pharmacy school and pursuing residency and the struggle that he encountered and how he overcome that and getting a clinical pharmacist job from there. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to him to introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Doe. I've been a pharmacist for a little over 6 years, and I graduated from the University of Houston in 2012.
Okay, great. So when he finished pharmacy school in 2012, what was your thought process as a P3 and P4, like are you pursuing residency?
So before starting pharmacy school, I had no idea what a residency was. The first time I started hearing about residency was during my 4th year of pharmacy school, which is pretty late in the game. And I just learned about it through rotations. My first rotation, fortunately, was internal medicine. And so my preceptor, who was very tough, they're known for being one of the toughest preceptors, kind of spoke to me a little about residency. And 4th year rotations is 4th year is your last year of pharmacy school, and it's your last opportunity to learn. And of course, I took that time to just go above and beyond during these rotations. And so I went through first rotation, heard about residency, a little interested. My 3rd rotation was in ED pharmacy, so ED setting in the hospital, and then they spoke to me a little bit more about residency. So my preceptors are the one that kind of introduced me to residency. So I was like, that sounds like a good idea, And during my research through looking more into residency programs, I noticed that that's where the profession is moving.
Yeah.
And so I decided, okay, let me pursue residency.
Okay. And then what basically say I'm going to do it, and then walk me through that process as you are saying I'm not on the fence anymore, right?
Yeah.
And now that I'm committed, I'm gonna go for it.
So now I was like, okay, I'm way behind. I don't have a CV prepared. So I spent pretty much 2 all-nighters putting together a CV, because a curriculum vitae CV is a comprehensive document of everything that you've done, that you've accomplished, because again, you want to market yourself, kind of sell yourself to these programs. And so first was to put together the CV. Number 2 was to go above and beyond during my rotations. When you go above and beyond during your rotations, and it's time to ask for that letter of recommendation, because the majority of residency programs that I'm aware of ask for at least 3 letters of recommendations. And so going above and beyond,
showing... What does that mean, going above and beyond?
Meaning that, so for my example, I would go onto site before my preceptor was there, and leaving site after my preceptor had left. Of course, and a lot of that was just for my learning opportunity as well. And then when you're preparing, working up patients, just don't look at the surface. Like, okay, this patient has elevated potassium. Well, why do they have elevated potassium? Always asking yourself questions, why? And that was because my preceptor kind of instilled that in me, because whenever I would answer her question, they would ask another question on top of that. Yes. Until it got all the way down to where there were no more questions to be asked.
Yeah, so one thing I learned is that you have to ask 5 why. So I had a similar experience with my ICU preceptor. He would say, oh, and then would come up and okay, and he'll ask me, oh, why not? Like, oh, well, this, and then he's like, so in the future, to really look, why elevated potassium? Okay, the patients may have other things. Okay, what happened with that? So it's like a rabbit hole to keep digging until okay, you're good. You know what you're saying, or you know what you're doing. So yes. Absolutely.
So definitely just keep asking yourself questions why, because if you keep asking yourself questions why and you find the answer to it, more than likely your preceptor or physician or colleague may ask you the same question, and you've already prepared yourself to answer those questions.
Right.
And so,
Well, I was just gonna give like one example for so let's say, oh, this patient has elevated white blood count. Okay, why? Oh, it seems like she may be sick and she's on steroid. Okay, What does steroid do? Okay, well, steroid can increase white blood cell count. Okay, why? Oh, well, because of the marginalization of steroids causing. Okay, why is demarginalization? Like, what is the mechanism of action? Oh, it's all these connect. So that's kind of the level of information that you need to go further to really understand what's going on and how to kind of provide that information to preceptor.
Definitely. So that's kind of going above and beyond. Looking above and beyond what is expected. That's what beyond, going beyond what is expected. You kind of already know what is expected of you. Go above and beyond that. Do extra.
And then one tips for the student you would provide as a preceptor, what are some things you can ask your preceptor to kind of help you do that above and beyond type of modality?
Pretty much, if you ask your preceptor a question, and so as a preceptor, if my student was to ask me a question, I would pretty much ask them that question back. But in terms of, preparing, like if you're, before you go starting for a rotation, ask a preceptor, is there any reading that I need to do to prepare for this rotation? Anything I need to look at? What disease states are mainly do you see at this rotation? And then kind of look into that and prepare yourself. So definitely, and every preceptor is different. You just have to get to know them and see how they are and what I guess how their teaching style is, because every preceptor has different teaching styles.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna go back onto the residency track. So now that you go above and beyond as a student and you want to identify at least 3 individuals to give you rec letters, so what's next?
So I asked the preceptors for the letter of recommendation, and of course they were more than happy to write those letter of recommendations for me. Also, so when I applied, this was before forecast. Forecast, unfortunately, in my opinion, kind of has everyone's application look pretty similar. During that time, I sent in the actual paper, mini portfolio, and mailed that to the institutions, and then had the letter of recommendation sent there. And then I also went to, they had the mid-year for the residency program. They also had a one in the Texas Medical Center for Houston, where it's a residency program showcase, and showing my face, because these residency program directors, they'll see your name on the application, but they really don't know a face. And by showing your face, introducing yourself, speaking to these directors, it kind of helps them put a face to a name, helps them to remember you when they come across your application. And so, asking for a letter of recommendation, submitting the applications, and
any challenge you have when you first of all, how many programs you apply to, and then any struggle from a residency application process that you encounter in terms of interviews, or just trying to select the best. And you're geographically limited potentially, right? With
exactly.
Your kids and wife, so can you kind of walk through that journey?
Yeah, so exactly like you mentioned, I'm married with kids, with one child at the time, and so I was restricted to the Houston area. So I applied to 5 different residency programs: Houston Methodist, Memorial Hermann Southwest, Memorial Hermann TMC, Harris County Health, and St. Luke's.
Okay.
And so, of course, showing my face during those residency program showcases, and during mid-year, you have the opportunity of participating in what they call PPS. And so I took that opportunity to kind of have a one-on-one with the residency program directors. I was able to kind of have a one-on-one with Houston Methodist director, as well as the St. Luke's. I also wanted one with the Memorial Hermann Southwest, which unfortunately I was told that the spots were filled. But this is kind of where network comes into play, because I was involved with the organization where one of the current residents was a resident there. And so I kind of talked to him like, I spoke with the residency program director. They said there's no more open spots. Can you take a look to see, And so fortunately he got me an interview during the PPS one-on-one. So had that one-on-one.
Well played.
And so that's kind of making use of your network, and throughout pharmacy school, you always hear network, which is a very important thing. Grades can only get you so far. Your community services can only get you so far. Your pretty looks, even though I don't have any, can only get you so far. But network is, a lot of times it's not, what you have, but who you know. Someone else has had a better quote than that, but
something along that line. And yeah, I think that definitely, just to recap kind of things, when, and being on the other side when I'm selecting residents, right? Like I'm definitely, or looking at resident candidates and we're selecting residents, we look at individual as a well-rounded. I would actually prefer someone who has a 3.0 but very great community research, just really involved and have great communication, interpersonal skills, compared to one who's a 4.0 and that's it, nothing else, no work experience, no of any sort of level of commitment. And I would actually choose that person over here. Or another scenario is like, if I know these two, this candidate very well, and also on paper they look almost exactly the same, but I know this individual as a person, I know how that person is too in terms of dynamic teamwork, I would more likely to choose this person just because it's reliable, right? Like I'm taking a chance with this individual versus if everything else is the same and I know you and I know you are a great worker, I'm gonna go more likely to go towards the other individual.
And just to piggyback on that, so my GPA at the time of application was a little above 3. It was like a 3.01 or something like that. But I was involved with the community. I was involved with my church as a children's minister. I was involved at the organizational level, with the organizations in my school at the time. And again, cannot stress the letters of recommendation. As you mentioned, when you have 2 applications, but you read through the letter of recommendation and the recommender has nothing but great, highly positive things to say about you, it goes a long way.
Yeah, and one thing to note with that rec letter, where you ask, don't just say, can you write me a rec letter? You want to ask, can you write me a great rec letter? Can you write me a positive rec letter? Can you write a strong rec letter, right? And if the preceptor, he or she should say, do I know the student enough to do that? Yes or no, right? Because we get letters where it's very generic, 2-paragraph, oh, I've known the student's on my rotation, she's good, I recommend her, compared to someone who say, Jimmy did this on my rotation, he went above and beyond, he go and shadow the physicians, and I mean, just everything as more in depth, and you're like, okay, this is a stronger letter as well. And one thing is just not relying on the letter. We actually call individuals who say, hey, I saw you put a rec letter into for the student and we're thinking about her or him, what are your thoughts? So it's not just a rec letter, they serve as a reference, be like, oh yeah, Jimmy did da-da-da-da-da-da, versus like, yeah, she was on my rotation, yeah, I mean, she was okay. I mean, if you were on the other side, who would you pick, right? So it's such a huge thing in terms of really making sure that you professionally show your best self. Like every day on the rotation is an interview.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not your P4 rotation at the end, that's where you look for a job, you show your best self. People are watching, even outside of your preceptors, right? The secretary, the technician, the pharmacist, everybody. And you gotta treat them all with respect and be courteous. I'm not saying to be fake, because people can really detect that. Just be your genuine self and really show all the things that you can do for the organization and for the department.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So we're gonna wrap up. Just again, kind of go back with the theme of 3. So what are 3 things that you would recommend to individuals who either on the fence, already kind of quote late in the game, like and you were kind of quote laying the game as you stated, that want to pursue residency?
Well, one is that the profession is moving towards residency trained practitioners. So either you're gonna pursue it now or you're gonna pursue it later. You know, it's gonna come to that time. But number one thing is networking is a huge opportunity. You know, network wherever you can, wherever you get a chance. Two is going above and beyond in everything that you do, you know, through pharmacy school, through residency, even when you're a practitioner, you know, go above and beyond what you do. And number three is never give up. Never give up.
Yeah, and even if you think you're late in the game, you're not late until you put the application in. So, and for those that are, I'm on the fence, but I'm not sure, what I would recommend is just go ahead and apply. And if you decided, hey, it's not for me, it's okay. You say, hey, I'm no longer interested, thank you. Versus, oh shoot, I really want to do it now, but now guess what? It's too late, and you gotta wait for another year. So if you're on the fence, just go ahead and put the application. And I think it's been a while since I did my residency, but I think up to a certain amount of programs you're technically get free until you add additional. So it doesn't hurt, and if this is your future and this is what you want, just go pursue it. Well, that's a wrap for today. Please post any comments down below. I would like to hear what is your strategy when you pursue residency. And for those that have gone through the residency program, what are some things that you would recommend to other individuals that are going through? Thank you.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye.